out Sophie Cunningham, and I guess by default somehow Angel Reese. But I mean, leave it to Angel Reese fans to somehow twist this into some kind of a diss when it was actually sort of a compliment.
Apparently, a joke about salad is the biggest scandal in the WNBA at the moment. Yes, you heard correctly. Sophie Cunningham added a brief remark. The internet is currently in meltdown mode after Angel Reese's fans went crazy. This somehow became Sophie's jealousy. Really? What are your thoughts? Is it a harmless jest or outright disrespect? Alright, so this is what really took place. One of the most well-known figures in the WNBA, Sophie Cunningham, the Indiana Pacers guard, Arby's deal, and fan favorite, was making a humorous TikTok about her dietary restrictions. She laughs as she declares that she is no longer able to consume gluten. I guess I'll have to work as a model for Victoria's Secret. Identify me as Angel Reese.
A huge one I forgot to mention is gluten, which is in every carb pretty much possible. And I know they make like gluten-free stuff, but that shit tastes weird to me. I can still eat chicken. That's good. Yeah, I feel like I'm going to be kind of turning into a rabbit. So I don't know. I guess I'm going to turn into a Victoria's Secret model. Call me Angel Reese.
That's all. The line is that. And Angel Reese fans went utterly crazy in a matter of minutes. A 10-second joke about food was converted into a government probe since it seems that stating, "Call me Angel Reese," is now considered offensive. Let's dissect this gradually. Angel Reese, who did really walk the Victoria's Secret runway, has become well-known worldwide as Twitter is obviously unable to handle context any longer. She works on podcasts, modeling gigs, brand deals, ads, and more. Therefore, Sophie's reference to her in that particular context was obviously a lighthearted homage to Reese's success as a model. However, the internet detectives weren't satisfied with that.
Angel Reese fans believe that, y'all ain't gonna believe this, believe that Sophie Cunningham, of all people, needs to name drop Angel Reese.
The comment sections went wild. Little blonde, I'm jealous. She is pursuing influence. Bro, don't mention Angel's name. She said nothing hurtful at all. The fan base seems to turn into the FBI the moment someone mentions Angel Reese. Oh, she's trying to get attention off Angel's name, one of your fans said. For example, Sophie Cunningham, who has millions of fans, a national advertising campaign, and her own WNBA highlight reels, requires Angel Reese's influence. Take it seriously.
She's a 6-foot-tall, beautiful-ass blonde. You think she needs to name drop Angel Reese for clout? You've got to be joking. Look at all these modeling opportunities, all this stuff she was doing before she even got to the fever. Nah, y'all mad, blonde hair, blue eyes, white. Let's be real. That's what it is.
The woman actually has an endorsement deal with Arby's. We have the meats, and y'all think she's desperate for TikTok clicks. Please, she says that on social media. However, logic is non-existent. Naturally, the headlines then began to appear. The WNBA's jealousy, Sophie Cunningham's shading of Angel Reese, and, my personal favorite, racial conflict that arises over comments. For example, in 10 seconds, how did we go from gluten to race relations? This is precisely the issue with WNBA Twitter today. Fans will turn anything into a rivalry because they are so starved for drama. To be honest, a lot of it is based on optics. When blonde, white, self-assured Sophie Cunningham makes a lighthearted remark, people immediately suspect malice because that's how things are now portrayed. By identification, not by intent.
Headline, quote, "Just a clout-chasing, jealous little girl." Jealous of what? Oh, but the fast food. Okay, I mean, Sophie's got an Arby contract, so yeah. I mean, what are we doing here?
It was almost predictable. People began searching through old pictures, political commentary, and even sporadic tweets from 10 years ago as soon as Sophie's name became popular, all to support the story of the envious cruel girl. On the other hand, it is lighthearted trash talk if someone on Angel's side makes jokes about Caitlin Clark or Sabrina Ionescu. However, it is microaggression if Sophie breathes in Angel's direction. It's not funny. It's a joke. The actual mayhem soon broke out. TikTok responses. A few of these artists were essentially acting out a scene from Shakespeare over a gluten joke. She feels envious of Angel's accomplishments. She finds it intolerable when a black lady shines. She has an obsession, infatuated. She wasn't even tagged by Sophie. While discussing cuisine, she made a brief remark. However, social media lives on indignation. Everyone had to douse the fire with petrol after it began. Even while preaching about women supporting women, there were people disparaging Sophie's appearance, voice, and skin tone. Irony faded away gradually that day. The hypocrisy definitely comes into play here. In fact, Sophie had previously lauded Angel in interviews. She has stated in public that she admires her hustling, her game, and her branding. Thus, there was no secret beef here. It was a lighthearted shout-out, but it isn't consistent with the popular victim-villain narrative on social media. Two factions are now yelling at one another. Fever fans are defending Sophie as if she were the last rational person on the internet, while Angel admirers are accusing Sophie of racism and jealousy. The unfortunate thing is that Sophie and Angel don't even appear to give a damn. Angel is working on advertisements and sharing photos from Paris. It's likely that he hasn't even noticed half of this bullshit. Sophie, meanwhile, is laughing at the hubbub, recovering from her injury, and concentrating on training camp. Fans, who claim to be defending their favorite player by inciting World War II on Twitter, are the only ones who are unhappy that to be clear, Angel Reese doesn't require strangers to fight her online. She's doing all right. Furthermore, Sophie Cunningham can remain relevant without disparaging anyone. She is already one of the most well-known figures in the league. However, logic never gets likes. Anger does. For this reason, the accounts that were criticizing Sophie the previous week were also promoting a phony story about Reese and Clark the week before. As long as it clicks, they don't care who they attack. Let's now discuss how absurd the jealousy allegation is in reality. Because what precisely is Sophie jealous of, if she is, the modeling career of Angel? Sophie joked about being a model and stated quite honestly that she wanted to get healthy. That's not envy. It's a praise that envious of celebrity. Outside of basketball, Sophie has her own following, merchandise, and sponsorship partnerships. Are you envious of the attention? Be honest. Sophie's attitude, self-assurance, and on-court prowess have made her popular for years. Angel is not necessary for her to remain in the news. However, this is the true cause of the jealousy that supporters are displaying. The idea that Angel is untouchable is something they wish to preserve. They have created the image of the queen of the league. They also go into full defense mode the moment someone even breathes near her. And the issue is that if every comment, joke, or reference devolves into a social conflict, it is impossible to create a positive fan culture. Fake rivalries are already a problem for the WNBA. Wilson versus Stewart, Clark versus Wilson, and Reese versus Clark. It's draining. We're now pitting Cunningham against Reese because of a remark regarding carbohydrates. This stuff cannot be made up. Analysts even began to comment. She should have known better, said some. She's white. You can call me Angel Reese, she said. That isn't racist code. It's wordplay. Others, however, stood up for her, claiming that nobody would care if Angel made that same joke. They're correct, too. Only when the internet wants it to do so does context matter. So, yes, the WNBA is officially at a point where it is no longer possible to enjoy itself. Every phrase gets turned into something political. So everyone is being really cautious that a player's quip regarding gluten was the catalyst for all of this mayhem. Even if you tried, you couldn't write a greater comedy. The most amusing aspect of this whole thing is how far individuals have taken it. From a tiny TikTok, it developed into comprehensive essays regarding sports representation. Like, relax. No one was pinning an essay. Sophie was discussing diet and allergies in detail. However, social media is not interested in peace. It desires anarchy, and it is consistently delivered by Angel Reese's fan base. The most offensive remarks about Sophie were made in the comments by the same individuals who advocate for the protection of black women. Angel was not being defended by them. All they wanted was an excuse to despise a stranger. Being outspoken on Twitter feels like activism because of this strange cult behavior. Just because it gets you likes doesn't mean you can label every blonde athlete envy. Nobody is being protected by that. Bullying and ostentatious packaging are all that. Naturally, the media also had a role to play. Headlines like Sophie Cunningham sparks controversy with Angel Re-comment began to appear in sports publications. Take note of the trick. Only that single sentence is taken out of the film. The entire thing is never shown. They generate revenue in this way. Every time, they manipulate everyday situations into fictitious altercations, and their audience fall for it. Next came the TikTok Think Peace Brigade. You know, the people that sit in their cars and chat like they've discovered a government conspiracy while listening to dramatic background music. You see, Sophie had a deeper meaning no, it wasn't. She didn't mean anything more than she said. However, people become disinterested if you tell them that. Additionally, boredom isn't clickable. Because Sophie once liked a post about Angel, someone even created a collection titled Sophie Obsessed with Angel. You don't become infatuated just because you like a post, bro. We refer to it as scrolling. On the internet, people are investigating who double-tapped what at the FBI level. The situation is becoming embarrassing. Do you know what exacerbates this situation? Angel Re herself most likely couldn't give a damn. She's out there doing collaborations, interviews, photo shoots, and earning money. She isn't sobbing on TikTok over someone mentioning her name. She's staying booked and occupied, just like celebrities do. However, it appears like her fan following is intent on making her into a weakling who is incapable of accepting praise. Sophie comes after that. She had the option to clap back. She had the option to go all feral and roast half of Twitter. Rather, she simply became silent. Power is that. She doesn't have to dispute with strangers who are incapable of distinguishing between shade and sarcasm. This is nothing new to her. Since college, she has had to deal with hate. She is self-assured, assertive, and yes, she does have that direct personality that unnerves others. Here's a small truth bomb, though. She doesn't falter under duress, which is why the fever struck her, due to the fact that she manipulates fire. Because she provokes conversation. For the same reason, she is currently trending once more. People are triggered by confidence. One thing is essentially demonstrated by the entire circumstance. Online logic does not exist. Sophie might have remarked, "Angel looks amazing." People would continue to find reasons to be angry. "Oh, she's being fake," they would say. They would assume she was envious if she remained silent. When supporters are addicted to outrage, there can be no victory. Let's not pretend that there aren't levels of hypocrisy in this. Even Angel Re is constantly talking trash. She flexes, taunts, and waves. To be honest, it's entertaining and part of her brand. However, it becomes disrespectful the instant someone else makes a light-hearted joke about her. The double standard is absurd. Fans seem to want her to be impervious to criticism. For example, she is free to speak anything, but no one can mention her name. Respect isn't that. Idol worship is that. Additionally, it is transforming the league into a circus. Every small remark turns into a phony rivalry. Additionally, it detracts from the basketball itself. In the meantime, Sophie is being referred to as racist, envious, washed, and so forth simply because she stated, "Call me Angel Reese." Not even shadow. That is a direct compliment regarding Angel's attractiveness. How may a compliment be made offensive? To pull that off, you must truly want to be angry. To keep the drama going, some supporters even began sifting through prior WNBA feuds. They were discussing the White Girl Alliance and bringing up Caitlin Clark. No one brought up Clark, bro. No one brought up race. You did. That's the problem. Those who shout the loudest about diversity are typically the ones that bring up race in every conversation. By now, you would think they would be exhausted. There's a new feud every month.